Hello, good morning, good evening, good afternoon, and welcome back to the Fantasy EFL Show. We have returned for the 2025-2026 EFL Fantasy season, and it is almost upon us. Friday night, August the 1st, the season kicks off with Luton versus AFC Wimbledon in League One. It's only League One and League Two teams that are active. Championship joins us in game week 2. We're going to cover the rules. There's some rule changes. We'll have a look at some of the best formations to pick and why, and the players to pick, and some teams and fixtures selections to look for this upcoming week in a limited week to kick the season off. If you're joining us from last season, thank you. Really appreciate it. We ended the last season with a little bit of a down-eyed, a bit of a health scare that's now rectified, and we're back on the full front for this season. We are, of course, though, sponsored and produced by That Millwall podcast, and this show will be going out on the back of the content from That Millwall podcast, where they will be discussing the latest signing of Alfie Doughty from Luton Town from an undisclosed fee, and covering their latest pre-season and weekly news before the season starts. So if you are new to the show and you aren't returning, please follow us at Fantasy EFL Show on all platforms, Twitter and YouTube, and wherever you can get your podcasts. The show does go out on a podcast and YouTube videos and shorts, and threads will be posted on Twitter every game week when full interaction from myself. So please just get involved. We look forward to all your content. We'll engage with everybody. Like to try and keep it fun. So with that in mind, though, let's jump straight into it, because those of you that are new, you will have not seen the rules in general, let alone any of the changes that have come to that. So let's take a little look at what the rules are for the Fantasy EFL, the game guidelines. So obviously you have to register and you have to log in. It's free of charge. You must obviously register or log in with an existing EFL account. After registering, you'll be required to enter team names. You could choose any team name that you want, obviously keeping it PG, as they say, and you agree to the terms and conditions before you proceed. So the team creation, so your team will consist of 7 players and 2 clubs from any of the 3 EFL divisions. Obviously this week there is only 2, so there's no player cost, there's no budget, you ain't got to worry about anything of that ilk, as you would do in the Premier League fantasy. And there are certain formations that are available. You can have 1 goalkeeper, 2 or 3 defenders, 2 to 3 midfielders, and 1 to 2 forwards. So that's a 2-2-2 formation, 2 defenders, 2 midfielders, 2 attackers, 2-3-1, 2 defenders, 3 midfielders, 1 attacker, or 3 defenders, 2 midfielders, 1 attacker, which is our personal favourite, and we'll cover why that's our favourite a bit later on. You can change that by removing a player. So if you wanted to change from a 3-2-1 to a 2-3-1, you just remove a defender, and then scroll down and search the filter 2 midfielders, select a midfielder. It automatically changes the formation for you. There are no player restrictions on how many you can select an individual player over the course of the season. So if you wanted to, for instance, select Casper Denoy of Millwall every single week, you can do so without any restriction on that. However, you can only select a maximum of 2 players from any one club, and you can select an individual club a maximum 5 times over the course of the season. So if, for instance, like myself, you're a Millwall fan and you got Millwall, we've got favourable matchups, and I pick Millwall 5 times in the first 5 weeks of the season, I can't select them again for the rest of the season. So just be a little bit tactical on how you pick that. Look for matchups as opposed to favouritism and things like that. So you can make as many changes to your team as you like each game week. There are no limits on the number of transfers because there's no player prices, and you can swap out all 7 players each at your free will each week. So captains and vice captains. So each week you have to choose a captain and you have to choose a vice captain. You won't be able to save your team and submit it for that game week if you don't. You can change your captains as many times as you like until they become locked in and lock out. We'll talk about locked in, locked out. For those of you that are new to it. To make changes, you just use the captain button on the player's profile when selecting the player Your vice cap, you need to select a vice captain, but they will only earn double points if your captain doesn't play. Yeah, other than that, they're pretty irrelevant picks, because 9 times out of 10, your captain's going to play unless he picks up a last minute knock, or while the transfer window's open, he gets moved on, etc., etc. And it's the same way to select it as you do with a captain. If both your vice captain and your captain don't play, no player will score double points. Okay, so don't miss out on that. So your team, so there is a new feature for the team that players create their team following game week as soon as the existing game week kicks off. So once game week 1 kicks off, 8 o'clock on Friday night with Luton hosting AFC Wimbledon, you can then start working on game week 2, which you couldn't last year. So that's a good thing that they've introduced. You probably wouldn't want to do it straight off the bat because, injuries do happen. So your team will roll over to the next game week automatically. It means that you always have a scoring team if you don't make any changes, assuming that your players are selected. So just make sure that you change your teams out as well, your club picks out, as well as your player picks. We'll then move on to what they call as chips. Okay, so your Fantasy EFL has 2 chips. One, which is brand new, which we're going to talk about now, and one that has been in existence. So you have a max captain chip. That's what we had last season. This automatically selects your highest scoring player as your game week captain, available twice per season. You really want to use that when you have triple game weeks, things like that. You don't really want to use it on a standard singular week for a player. So just be a bit tactical, which we'll cover that throughout the course of the season. We'll give you the best tips on when to use your max captain chip and things like that. One club. Now, this is a quite an interesting one. One club chip. This allows an unlimited number of players to be selected from one club. Not quite sure why you would want to use that, but as the season dwindles down, you get to things like playoffs, etc., then you'll be able to utilize that a little bit more. But this just means that you can select, if you wanted 7 Millwall players, you can select 7 Millwall players. The max captain chip. So this chip automatically makes your high scoring player your captain that week, which we've already said. You can lose that twice over the season, once being the 1st of August and between the 4th of February, and once more between 5th of February and the end of the season. If you don't use your max chip before February the 5th, you'll only have one. So you do need to get it in there, but there is plenty of opportunities to get that chip in there. Okay. If you, for the new club, the club one for the new this season, this allows you for 1 game week only, so you can only use it once. Okay, so you can use it for at any point. I personally don't see that much of a benefit of using it, but some people, if you've got a really, really good matchup, I'm talking if you've got Manchester City up against whoever's the bottom of the league, or Liverpool, whoever's the bottom of the league, you might just want to maximise that and use all Liverpool players. Obviously, you can't in the EFL use Liverpool, but for comparison purposes only, you can do that to your heart's content. So the scoring has changed ever so slightly. Okay, so all players now will receive 1 point for up to 59 minutes played, 2 points for 60, you get 3 for assists, 5 for a hat trick, -3 for a missed penalty, -3 points for an own goal. So if you're on 0 points, you will get minus points. It doesn't just take 3 away and put you back to 0. It takes you into the minus part. Yellow card is -1. Red card is -3. Keepers. Every save is 2 points now. And penalty save is +5. That's a big difference, because that was only +3 points last season. That's gone up +2, which is quite a big one to be honest with you. Goals scored, excluding own goals, is +10. Okay. Now, clean sheets are +5. Every 2 goals is conceded is -1. Defenders, every 4 clearances is +1. 2 blocks +1. 2 tackles +1. Goals scored, etc. Excluding own goals +7. So the clearances now require 4 per point. It was 3. Yeah, it was 3, which is a bit of a controversial change there, but there we are. Midfielders, every interception is 2 points. Goal scored is 6 points. And midfielders and forward, 2 key passes, and every shot on target is +1 point. You never used to get a point for a shot on target, so now you get shots on target. So you'll be looking at different metrics at what type of midfielders and attackers actually get the creativity behind them, not necessarily looking at goals scored, but how many chances are created, because that leads to points. So clubs will now score points based on the following metrics, which is different as well. So a win will get you 5 points, a draw is +3, away win is +2, clean sheet is +2 goals scored is +2, and an extra 4. If you get 4+ goals, then that's 2 as well. That is your point system. We did speak about the lockouts, right? So this is how the lockout, where it can trip you up or not. So it will be implementing a rolling lockout whereby players and clubs will become locked. As soon as that player or club kicks off in the current game week, once lockout is active, you will no longer be able to add or remove selections. So make sure you get your picks in and that you're sure of them, because once Luton and Wimbledon kick off at 8 o'clock on Friday night, that's it. They're locked in. You can't change it, which is, self-explanatory with fantasy football. So same across the board. Same with your vice captain and your captain. And lockout will automatically, 12 hours after the final game of that should say end, 12 hours after the final game, the game week is completed. Once you have your team and you enter a public or private league, you can join leagues. We have a couple of leagues that we're a part of. We're not really going to cover leagues that much or go into it that much. We'll more cover point hauls for the team that we've had that week. But you can join various leagues. If you follow us on the show, we've got links to various shows. We are sponsored by that Millwall podcast. You can join the Millwall Pod league, which has been created. Just go ahead to our socials on Twitter and you'll find the link for that. These are leagues in which you automatically be entered once you enter. So you have overall leaderboards, club leaderboards, and division leaderboards. You have mini leagues where you could create or join multiple leagues. So you don't really have to have a league yourself. You can just join any leagues that are open, that are public. The game weeks, as they did last year, will run from Thursday to Wednesday each week during the regular season. To see when the game week begins, click on My Team and look for the countdown at the top of the page. If you have selected players and or clubs that don't have a fixture for whatever reason and did not play and they're in your team, they will score 0 points. So make sure you're up on who you selected and make sure they've got a game. There is, however, I believe, which isn't mentioned here, about notifications for injured and suspended players. That was a big thing last year, that people were selecting players that were potentially injured and we didn't know about it. So we were selecting players that were injured because not everybody knows the ins and outs of every football club or every player across the whole 92. You obviously have ones you do in your respected league. So, for instance, I'm more upbeat on Championship than I am League One and League Two, but covering last year did, expand my knowledge a bit more. So just that's a big thing. I think that's introduced now, that was mentioned from the FEFL official page, that injuries and suspensions will now be highlighted when selecting your players, which is a big plus. So keep an eye out on that for well. These are the current leagues that I said you've spoken about. This is the current league that you can join, that Millwall Pod. You can get involved in that and join that. Like I said, you could just get to the pod page to discuss that and pick that up. You can just select the link that's already been pinned to the top of the Twitter account. So with that being said, with the rules now covered, the changes now covered, we can now start looking at our player selections and recommended formations. So the recommended formation that I'm going to recommend for this season is, as you can see on screen, is a 1-3-2-1. 3 defenders, 2 midfielders, 1 attacker. The reason that I do that is you get your clearance bonuses for your defenders. So you want to look at defenders that probably under the cosh a little bit. You don't really want to pick defenders of teams that are, would thump someone, again, referencing that Liverpool to sort of like a, one of the newly promoted sides like a Burnley. Are Liverpool going to really be under the cosh from Burnley and have to do a lot of clearances, etc.? Put that into EFL terms for EFL teams. You want to start selecting players that might be under the cosh a little bit. So you get the clearancing bonus. The midfielders, 2 midfielders on this because of the shot on target. That is the key passes bonus. That's really key for midfielders. I was toying it up whether to go with 3 midfielders because of that. But I think the clearance bonus, the interception bonus, all of that, the clean sheet bonuses, I think that benefits the defenders a lot more. It probably just prompts you to have better odds at getting more points with 3 defenders as opposed to 3 midfielders. but you do get the shot on target and the key pass bonuses for midfielders. And I picked one forward just to avoid overcommitting. You don't want to overcommit on forward. You're relying then on shots on target. You're relying on goals. You're relying on wins. And you don't want to do that. So it's better just to have one forward and let the creativity around them dictate their play. This is balanced. It's reliable. It's chip friendly as well. So if you wanted to use your chips, it's a chip friendly formation. So that's why I selected that. Let's now, though, select our teams. And we're going to start with our goalkeeper. We'll remove the championship because we're not there. And the goalkeeper that we've gone for this week is Matt Macy, I should say, from Colchester. He averaged 6.5 points last season. That's 21 clean sheets, 112 saves, 84% save rate. Okay, he's playing against Tranmere. Tranmere, they scored just 0.89 goals per game. Really, really favourable matchup for Macy in goal. Why do look? He's high clean sheet odds, really high clean sheet odds to get them points. There's bonus potential from the new penalty save rule, and he's has safe hands. He's a consistent starter. He's not a captain pick. Maybe a foul safe vice captain fullback, but I don't recommend selecting goalkeepers for your captaincy or your vice captain because they are pretty limited. I wouldn't touch that at all. But that's why we've selected him, because of the favourable matchup. Tranmere are really not a great attacking side. They don't score many goals, especially away from home last season. And Massey's, his 21 clean sheets, 112 saves, gets him in your side. We'll now move on to our defenders, and one of the defenders we're going to pick straight off the bat was literally the best performing defender in Leagues 1 and 2. I'll say average 5.9 points, 358 clearances, scored 3 goals, 7 clean sheets. Playing against Stevenage, Oliver Casey this week. Stevenage, averaged 0.9 goals per game. It's not great. He was the top scoring defender. So the bonus is best under the new clearance rule. He's a set piece threat. So in both boxes, clearances and goal threat from set pieces, Cassie makes a really good pick up this week for that. And his captaincy is a really high viability this week. So we are actually going to select Casey as our captain this week, just because he's high clean sheet rate plus the clearance ceiling and his aerial threat in both boxes. Next defender we're going to select then as part of our back three is Kerr here. We've got Jason Kerr of Wigan, the defender. He averaged 5.6 points per game last season, 312 clearances, 2 goals, 6 clean sheets. He's playing against Northampton, who scored 1.02 goals per game last year. The clean sheet odds are strong, higher clearance volume. He's a bonus magnet. He really is a bonus magnet. His captaincy viability is strong. I would look at captain him well. He's a strong route to 10 plus points quite easily. Really, really solid pick up this week. I think that the top 5 on that list, most are really they're probably going to pick up. I'm not gone that route. I've gone down the list a little bit, and we're going to select a looser. But you can do this as well, ladies and gents. You can just select the team if you don't want to scroll down. But I'm going for. No, I'm not going for. Yeah, I'm going for Mads Anderson. Okay, Mads Anderson of Luton Town. He averaged. People would probably look more at picking up McGuinness. You look at that there for McGuinness. He's probably the highest picked this week. We take him out there for Luton. Yeah, look, Mike McGuinness is the second highest pick, 31.6% pickup rate. I'll just like Madsen. I think that he averaged 55.4 points, 278 clearances, 2 goals, 5 clean sheets. Wimbledon are newly promoted. This is why I went for Mads Anderson, because they're newly promoted. They've lost key attackers as well, Wimbledon. And he's a real big aerial threat, Anderson. The clean sheet potential is there. The set piece involvement is there. So it just makes sense. He could be really key in both boxes in what you expect to be a dominant performance from Luton. I know I mentioned about not picking defenders that probably won't be on the cosh, but I've picked him because of his aerial dominance in both areas, and his set piece involvement could be key, because Wimbledon can be quite unpredictable. And although Luton have just gone down and they're probably the favourites to come back up, do they struggle? They've lost key pieces as well. Are they a team that struggles with that? We've seen it happen before. The captaincy viability, though, is moderate. I wouldn't say it's great. I wouldn't say it's on a Casey level or even a Kerr level. I'd say it's moderate. You could do. The clean sheet bonus is definitely there. I think that they're more than capable, or probably more than likely, to pick up a clean sheet this week. And he is a goal threat. So that's the reasons why you could probably pick him as your captain this week. So midfielders now, and gone really, really safe here. Luke Molyneux, he's literally the poster boy of Fantasy EFL. He was heavily picked last season. He averaged 6.8 points, 16 goals, 14 assists. It's ridiculous numbers for Luke Molyneux. 51 shots on target. With that new shot on target bonus that you get for midfielders now, that makes him really, really key. And 1.4 key passes per game. He's involved in every aspect of what Doncaster do: goals, assists, key passes, shots on target. He's involved in their attack, their defence, their creativity. Get him in there. The captaincy viability is very, very high with him. Obviously, he has an explosive ceiling. He's the most owned player as well, 51% selected. So, he is a safe bet. Majority of players have picked him so far. And why to pick him? Because of that shot on target. That volume of that shots on target is going to make him a real bonus magnet under the new rules. So get him in there. The next player we've gone for, I did look at Lewis Wing, but I chose to mix it up and go with Jack Payne. I think Jack Payne of Colchester. We've already got Macy in goals, so we're selecting 2 Colchester players. Jack Payne was a real good performer last year. He averaged 6.4 points per game, 9 goals, 8 assists, 62 interceptions. That is huge. That is massive. 1.9 key passes per game. Tranmere, we've already spoke about. They conceded 70 goals. Yeah, 70 goals. Why should you pick him? Because look, the set piece duty, he's on set piece duty. He has a high interception count. The bonus potential is huge there, especially with the interceptions, the key passes, and the goals and assists. He's going to be a magnet for points in both the defensive side of the game as well as the attacking side of the game. So make Jack Payne a real interesting pick, not just because of it's only League One and League Two picks this week, but even when the Championship's involved, Payne's still going to be one that probably gets picked up quite a lot based on that. Captain viability, I'd say solid. His consistent returns, he's very consistent with his points. Like I say, 6.4 is a real good, solid outfit. You need to get more than 5-6 points really from your lowest performer each week to give yourself half a chance of staying within the not getting pulled away from, to be honest with you. So that's our defence and our midfield sorted. Our striker option now, and I've got to go way down the list. So I'm just going to completely select the team that I want. And we've gone with Yusuf Salic of Cardiff City, recently relegated Cardiff City. He averaged 4.25 points in the Championship last season, 8 goals, 2 assists, 0.52 his goal, his XG, 1.6 shots on target a game, which is quite, it's going to be impressive under these new rules. The reason I picked him, though, was the matchup. He's playing against Peterborough. Peterborough have lost 3 starting defenders. They also lost Kwame Poker in attack. They're quite a wounded animal, Peterborough. And Cardiff, they've kept hold of majority of their players. They've kept the sort of similar team that went down. So they'll be one of the favourites to come back up. He faces a weakened defence. This is vice captain potential. This is what I've gone with as well. He is going to be the vice captain. He is a high captaincy viability, because of his differential with his upside. But we've definitely gone with him as the vice captain. And because of the weakened matchup that he's playing against Peterborough, he's definitely picked again. If you don't like the captain's pick, so why should you pick Luke Molyneux? Well, Luke Molyneux would be a good captain because of his high ceiling, the shots on target, the home fixture he's got is against a very shaky Exeter team, a team tipped then to go down. Kerr, clean sheet odds, he's a bonus magnet. Like I said, he's safe route to 10 plus points. No problem. We've selected Casey and we spoke about Payne, why you should select him. Look, set pieces plus interceptions. That's a good captain selection if you wanted to go to go down that route. Now, with the two team selections that we're going to pick up here, we are going with Cardiff City, obviously for reasons that we laid out. Favourable matchup, recently relegated side. Should be a banker this week. I think you want to get off to an early start. You do want to pick a banker. I did look at Luton Town. I just fancy Cardiff this week. And then we've gone with Colchester United. We've already got two players in there for Colchester. Quite a Colchester heavy week this week for game week 1. So we've gone with Colchester United just for the same reasons, really. You know, Tranmere don't favour themselves away from home. They don't score many goals. And Macy is a real solid player in there, and Jack Payne should add to the attack. That put Tranmere under a lot of trouble. That's the team selections that we've gone with. I wouldn't use your chip. Okay, I wouldn't use your chip this week. I would hold it unless you're going bold and you want to max captain it. I wouldn't in game week 1. I would leave it. But that's where we are. That is our formation. We've gone with a 3-2-1. Our club picks are Cardiff and Chesterfield. We've stacked defensively with Luton and Wigan, picking up Casey, Kerr and Anderson. And in midfield, Luke Molineux, Jack Payne. And up front, we've gone with Yusuf Salic up against Peterborough. Now, fixtures this week are loaded. We're loaded. Like I said, we'll cover some of the fixtures right now. We kick off Friday night at 8 o'clock. That is the kickoff of the EFL season. Luton Town at home to Wimbledon. Cardiff kick off the following on the Saturday at 12:30. Early kickoff against Peterborough United. Blackpool take on Stevenage. Bradford at home to Wycombe Wanderers. Burton at home to Mansfield. Doncaster, Exeter. Huddersfield take on Leyton Orient. Lincoln take on Reading. Plymouth at home to Barnsley. Rotherham v Port Vale. Wigan, Northampton. And then on the 3rd at 12 o'clock on the Sunday, Stockport take on Bolton Wanderers. Some key games to watch. Luton versus Wimbledon obviously is a key game. Luton are promotion favourites. Wimbledon newly promoted and unsettled. There's a higher clean sheet odds, higher goal bonus potential with Anderson and Morris in play. Doncaster v Exeter is another one. Doncaster are expected to dominate in possession, especially we've got Luke Molineux in there. Exeter concede 1.8 goals a game. Molineux and Casey are really high stealing picks in this. Cardiff v Peterborough, we spoke about that. Cardiff retained their key assets. Peterborough lost 3 starting defenders. Salic is facing a weakened back line. So that's another key game to watch in terms of the players that we've picked. Colchester v Tranmere. Colchester had 21 clean sheets. Tranmere scored less than 1 goal a game. Do the math. It makes absolute sense why Massey and Payne are in there to offer safe returns. And MK Dons with Oldham. This is just one that I plucked out of the list that wasn't part of our teams. MK Dons with Oldham. Collins, if selected, is up front, is someone that you could look at as a replacement for Salic. I did look at him. But if he's selected, he faces a newly promoted Oldham time, and MK Dons are promotion contenders. So that's a potential for good team goal bonuses. So game week 1 is really all about just getting off to a good start. It's about balance, upside, reliability. You've got new rules, so be smart with the picks. You don't have to go bold, but just don't miss the deadline. So if you want this will be turned into a thread, and we'll get through that. That will go out on Twitter for you to take a look at as well as listen to the show. But just to cover it, we'll go over for those listening that are not watching and can't see. We have selected the following players. We've gone with a 3-2-1 formation, and we've selected Matt Massey of Colchester in goal, Oliver Casey of Blackpool, Jason Kerr of Wigan, Mads Anderson of Luton in defence, Luke Molineux of Doncaster, and Jack Payne of Colchester in midfield, and Yusuf Salic of Cardiff up front, with Oliver Casey, our captain, Salic, our vice-captain, and Cardiff City, Colchester United as our team selections. With that being said, everybody, if you like the show and you want more content, please like, share and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Follow us on Twitter and wherever you get your podcasts. We're very active on there. We post threads of the team selections once the show's gone out as well. Follow at That Millwall Podcast as well, our show's producer and sponsor, and they're going to be bringing you content on Friday night live at 8 p.m. of breaking down the Alfie Doughty signing from Luton, which will piggyback on the Fantasy EFL show. That will have content involved in that as well. They're also bringing a championship show covering all things Sky Bet Championship, where the Fantasy EFL show will have a segment on the back end, just updating everybody on what's going on in fantasy. It is only week one. It's League One, League Two. Next week, it gets more bolder. We have the championship involved, and we'll be back for that with Game Week 2, where we'll review Game Week 1 and see how we did. Like I said, please like, share, subscribe. Thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed it, and we will see you on the next one.